Hitler's autobiography, myth, manipulation, and the making of a dictator. In 1925, while imprisoned for treason, Adolf Hitler began writing a book. He called it Kampf, My Struggle. Part autobiography, part political manifesto, it would become one of the most dangerous books ever written. This is not Hitler's life as it truly was. This is Hitler's life as he wanted the world to believe it was. Tonight, we examine that autobiography, not to amplify it, but to dissect it. To understand how personal grievance became political doctrine, and how narrative became a weapon. Kampf was written in 2 volumes between 1924 and 1926, after Hitler's failed coup, the Beer Hall Putsch. It is often described as an autobiography. In reality, it is something more dangerous, a self-mythologizing origin story, crafted to justify ideology. Hitler presents his life not as a series of choices, but as destiny. Failures become persecutions. Hatreds become revelations. To understand the man, we must understand the story he told about himself and where it collapses under evidence. Hitler was born in 1889 in Brno am Inn, Austria-Hungary. In Kampf, he portrays his childhood as a struggle against authority, particularly his father, Alois Hitler. The autobiography frames young Hitler as misunderstood, artistically gifted, and constrained by a rigid system that refused to recognize his genius. His father was strict, but not unusually abusive by standards of the time. Hitler's academic record was mediocre. Teachers did not conspire against him. The autobiography exaggerates conflict because conflict serves narrative purpose. From the beginning, Hitler casts himself as a victim of unjust systems, a pattern that will repeat endlessly. Hitler's years in Vienna, from 1907 to 1913, are central to Kampf. He describes this period as one of poverty, struggle, and political awakening. In his telling, Vienna becomes the place where he discovers antisemitism not as hatred, but as supposed truth. Vienna was politically diverse, not uniformly anti-Semitic. Hitler associated with Jewish colleagues and customers during this period. His economic hardship stemmed largely from personal instability and rejection from art institutions. The autobiography reframes personal failure as external betrayal. Instead of acknowledging rejection by the art academy, Hitler constructs a racial explanation. This is a key psychological transformation. When reality contradicts self-image, reality must be rewritten. Hitler presents the First World War as the defining moment of his life. In Kampf, he portrays himself as a selfless soldier, a devoted patriot, a man forged by sacrifice. He served as a messenger, a dangerous but limited role. He was brave but not exceptional. He never rose beyond the rank of corporal. The autobiography inflates this experience into moral authority. The war becomes sacred. Defeat becomes betrayal. This framing sets the foundation for the stab in the back myth, the false claim that Germany was betrayed internally rather than defeated militarily. Germany's defeat in 1918 shattered Hitler. In Kampf, he describes the armistice as a personal wound, a moment of awakening. His political views were still fluid at this stage. His radicalization accelerated only after the war within extremist circles. The autobiography collapses time, suggesting inevitability. But extremism is never inevitable. It is cultivated. Here, Hitler transforms humiliation into mission. From this point, Kampf becomes less autobiography and more ideological blueprint. Hitler embeds his worldview within personal narrative. Racism framed as insight. Antisemitism framed as discovery. Violence framed as necessity. This is not memoir. This is propaganda wearing the mask of confession. By anchoring ideology to lived experience, Hitler attempts to make hatred appear authentic rather than constructed. A recurring theme in Hitler's autobiography is destiny. He presents himself not as ambitious, but as chosen. Failures are recast as preparation. Opposition becomes proof of righteousness. Political advancement came through opportunism. Support grew through mass rallies, propaganda, and economic crisis, not inevitability. The danger of this narrative lies in its appeal. If history is destiny, then responsibility disappears. Violence rationalized. In Mein Kampf, violence is framed as tragic but necessary. Democracy is portrayed as weakness. Pluralism as decay. This is where autobiography becomes moral anesthetic. By presenting violence as reluctant duty, Hitler absolves himself in advance. History would later reveal the consequences. State terror. Mass imprisonment. Genocide. The autobiography does not predict these crimes explicitly, but it prepares the moral ground for them. The myth versus the record. When historians compare Mein Kampf with documented history, patterns emerge. The autobiography is not a mirror, it is a construction. After 1933, Mein Kampf became compulsory reading in Nazi Germany. Millions of copies were distributed. The state elevated autobiography into scripture. The story of one man became justification for totalitarian control, systematic dehumanization, industrialized murder. Words did not cause these crimes alone, but words made them thinkable. What Mein Kampf does not contain is as important as what it does. There is no empathy for victims, no doubt, no accountability. The autobiography ends not with reflection, but with certainty. History teaches us that certainty without humility is lethal. Why this matters today? Studying Hitler's autobiography is not about fascination. It is about literacy, political, psychological, moral. Extremist movements still use personal grievance as political fuel, narrative as recruitment, identity as weapon. Understanding how one autobiography helped normalize atrocity is part of preventing its repetition. Adolf Hitler wrote his life as he wished it to be remembered. History wrote the rest, in ruins, graves, and testimony. Autobiography can illuminate. It can also deceive. And when myth replaces truth, the cost is measured in human lives. If you like the video, please click on the like, subscribe, and share buttons. Hit the bell icon to receive the latest updates.